Hey everybody, it's Rockula, and welcome back to Rockula Retrospective. This is a review of Season 5, Episode 13 of The Walking Dead, titled Forget, and we're going to do a wrap-up and some predictions. Okay, so now that you've had a time to digest the episode for a little bit, let's wrap up some major points that the reviewers and the commentators have been making about this episode. Now, the first person we're going to talk about is Deanna. I did a character assessment on Deanna on another video, and the long and the short of it is that I don't completely trust her, but I do not believe that she has evil intentions. From Deanna, we move over to Sasha. Now, Deanna is actively trying to challenge Sasha to overcome her fears. Deanna knows that Sasha will not respond to sugarcoating, and that's why she's going to have more of an effect on Sasha than anybody else in Alexandria. And now we come to Carol, who has become more clever and calculated than she ever has in any episode before. I love the story about the monsters to Sam and everything, but unfortunately, I have to award Carol with the common sense moment of the episode, and that is for her infiltration of the gun storage. Point number one is that she allowed herself to be followed by a child. It's not a child in a ninja suit, not a child that's been out in the wild and is like a feral animal. No, some kid that's been living in comfort. She allowed him to follow her. Point number two, she left the window open. Now, even if Sam didn't follow her and was out looking for her, I'm pretty sure that he looks over at the supply hut, sees a window open, and sees Carol in there and thinks, cookies. Number three is kind of a prediction about the next episode that could happen, and it's based on the other mistake that she made. Now, when she first was in the supply room, she took 1/4 bar of chocolate. Then later that night when she's infiltrating the guns, she takes another 1/4 bar of chocolate. This leads me to think that there's going to be a confrontation, maybe this next episode, but soon, where Olivia goes to Carol and tells her, I know what you did and I know what you took. Carol's going to think it's going to be about the guns, but it's going to turn out to be about the chocolate. The only thing that I can think of is maybe Carol was thinking that she would do something obvious like steal an extra piece of chocolate so they didn't bother to look in the guns. But that's just a theory and anything can happen on this show. So when we come to Rick, I've done a video titled The A on Rick's Hand, and you can watch it here, and it's a really more detailed description of the things that I believe happen with the A on his hand. But my belief right now, to be short, is that Rick has some serious issues to ponder about using his power responsibly. And, that's coming into play with Jesse and Pete as well. So let's talk about Jesse's husband, Pete. The reviewer community as well as the commenters are all in agreement that they think that Pete is untrustworthy, or at the least a huge prick. And, his behavior at first made me think that, but now that I've had a time to reflect on it, maybe he's an alcoholic. So let's examine the things we know about Pete right now. First time we see Pete is he's talking to Rick from the shadows on the porch, and he sounds like he's being a jerk. But then we go to the party, and Pete offers to get Rick a drink. Jesse kind of has a little tiff with him about it, and then he takes off. That just sounds, you could say, oh yeah, he's a prick and everything, but that sounds to me like he's an alcoholic because, the porch situation, he could just be, getting drunk on the porch while the kids are asleep and away from the wife, and then the tiff at the party is her trying to rein him in on his drinking and him trying to get away and drink. So I don't really think that he is that much of a douche. I think he's an alcoholic, and we're going to get into more things that point to him being an alcoholic in the sneak peeks. And this is as good of a time as any to transfer over to the next segment, which is called You Can't Trust the Teasers. In this part, we're going to talk about sneak peeks and promos, but I call them teasers. Let's talk about the sneak peeks first and how we were talking about Pete earlier. Pete is talking to Rick, and he's two-fisting it. He's got one, and he's got one on deck. And he's drunk. But he doesn't seem like an irritating, like aggressive dick drunk. He just seems like the kind of guy that gets too close and breathes his beer breath on you. I don't really think he is a malicious person. And Pete is a rare person right now in the world because 99% of the people that are like Pete are dead. They're weak and they're dead. As far as them setting up Pete to be Rick's antagonist, I can only see that being a one-way street because in the sneak peek, he is trying real hard to be Rick's friend. And, the other thing is, does Rick really want him out of the way? And if he does want him out of the way, there's two ways that this can go about. And I don't think it's going to be Rick killing Pete. I think what's going to happen is, first of all, they got to kill him off in order to get Jesse and Rick together. So I think what's going to happen is Pete's going to get into a situation. Rick is not going to be able to save him in time. Pete's going to die, and then it's going to be perceived as Rick's fault, and there's going to be the tension from that. Let's go to sneak peek number 1, and that's Eugene and Tara out walking around. We don't know what for, but Eugene is pretty much saying, I don't belong out here. And they're trying to figure it out. Eugene saying it's my credit that, we're here, and they're like, no, it's our credit that you're here. And, I still think that's kind of a funny little way to go about it. But, man, Eugene, you need to step up, man. You're my favorite character, and I want you around. I don't want you to die or get ostracized or anything like that because you can't defend yourself. So, nut up, Eugene. Some of us out there are rooting for you. Now we're getting into the teaser that you can't trust. Gabriel's talking about false light, and then they show Rick's group to insinuate that Gabriel thinks that Rick's group is not of honorable intention. There's some action. Then there's Eugene trying to avoid responsibility for something that happened, and he's saying, you should have listened. This leads me to believe that he did something bad, and in the heat of an intense situation, he, maybe killed somebody, shot somebody, whatever, but he's going to say, it wasn't my fault, you guys. I told you not to put me in this situation. But once again, can't trust the teasers. You never know what's going to happen based on the promo. What's going to happen next? Well, there's the looming possibility that Rick and Carol's gun theft will be discovered. And are we going to see all of the interviews? Because didn't see most of the minor characters. What I'm really interested in is obviously Eugene's because I'm such a big Eugene fan. But I also want to see what Gabriel has to say because I think Gabriel's interview is going to be some of the most damning things against our group. Is he going to be, a little bit of a burr under their saddle? Is he going to become dangerous to the opinions of Alexandrians about our group? Other than that, you got your normal plot points with your characters, but my big question is, what are they going to do with them walls? All right, I'd really love to hear what you guys think about my points and observations. If you want to tell me that I got something wrong, please do, because I do it all the time. Look for me to review episode 16. It'll be my reaction review, and it'll happen late into the night on Sunday night. I'm Rockula, and this is Rockula Retrospective.